They always say a lie can travel halfway around the world before the truth gets out of bed. But what happened that Wednesday afternoon at a Walmart in Georgia? That lie didn't just travel. It detonated. A single dad walked in to buy groceries for his kids. A stranger walked in determined to ruin someone's day. And by the time police arrived, the entire store had stopped moving. Because inside that shopping cart was something no one expected. Something that would expose everyone involved. And unleash a truth no one in that Walmart was ready to face. This is the story of how a simple shopping trip turned into a televised scandal, a police investigation, and a community split in half. And it all began with a single woman pointing a finger. And a father who had nothing left to lose. It was supposed to be quick. A 20-minute in-and-out grocery run before school pickup. That's all Daniel Joseph, a 34-year-old single dad, had planned. Dark-skinned, broad-shouldered, soft-spoken, Daniel didn't look like the kind of man who started trouble. He was the man who woke up at 4 a.m. to drive a forklift at a distribution warehouse. The man who kept every receipt, every bill, every school note, organized in a neat binder he carried everywhere. It was a habit his late wife, Maya, used to tease him about. But life had been hard since she passed. He didn't joke much anymore. He just tried to survive. That day, he just wanted to buy the stuff his kids needed. Cereal, laundry detergent, cough syrup, a new pack of socks for his son whose toes kept poking through the fabric. Simple. Ordinary. Then she showed up. Her name was Victoria Hensley, though Walmart employees whispered another name under their breath. The Return Queen. She was known for causing scenes, for claiming damaged goods, for demanding managers. A 40-something woman with oversized sunglasses, platinum blonde hair, and an attitude that entered a room before she did. When she first noticed Daniel, she froze. He was scanning the price on a pack of children's vitamins, holding it up to compare labels, nothing unusual. But Victoria leaned in closer to her friend and muttered, "See? They always pretend like they're checking prices. That's how they steal." Her friend whispered back, "Victoria, stop." But Victoria didn't stop. She never had. Not in her neighborhood. Not in her PTA. And certainly not in her Walmart. She watched Daniel like he was prey. And when she saw him put a toy into the cart, a toy that wasn't on the shelf but in the clearance bin, her eyes widened like she'd just witnessed a felony. He didn't scan that. Excuse me? No one scanned anything yet. He's hiding it in the back of his cart. Oh, this is rich. Then, she followed him. Daniel had no idea he was being stalked. He was humming under his breath, pushing his cart slowly, reading every label because he didn't have money to waste. But Victoria was behind him, snapping photos with her phone. She flagged down an employee. "Victoria, he's stealing. I've been watching him." Employee, He didn't do anything. Victoria, "Oh, sweetie, don't be naive. Call security." Employees sighed. Some rolled their eyes. But Walmart protocol is Walmart protocol. They had to check. That's when Asset Protection, a young man named Kevin, started trailing Daniel discreetly. Victoria trailed Kevin. And her friend trailed both of them. It was becoming a parade of paranoia. Daniel reached the self-checkout. He began scanning everything carefully. Beep. 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 He scanned the cereal. The kids' socks. The vitamins. Everything. Victoria filmed him. He's pretending to scan some items. Watch this. Except he was scanning them. Walmart cameras were recording every angle. Daniel bagged his groceries, paid with his card, collected his receipt, and exhaled. Another errand done. Another day surviving. He started pushing the cart toward the exit. And that's when Victoria sprinted ahead of him. She blocked the door with both arms spread wide like she was reenacting a movie scene. Victoria, shouting, "Stop him. He's stealing." Shoppers jumped. A child started crying. Self-checkout attendants froze. Daniel blinked. What? But Victoria was eating the moment alive. She backed up dramatically, clutching her chest. "I saw him stuff items into his cart and walk out without paying. Check his cart. Check it." Her voice was sharp enough to split the air. And from the other end of the store, Kevin from Asset Protection came running, followed by a Walmart manager, 2 floor staff, and security. The crowd formed instantly. Kevin pulled Daniel aside gently. "Sir, we just need to look into something real quick." Daniel frowned. "Is something wrong?" Before Kevin could answer, Victoria shoved her phone between them. "Victoria, I have video. He hid merchandise. He didn't pay for everything in that cart." Daniel looked from her to the crowd. Confusion faded. Hurt rose. This wasn't the first time he'd been accused of something he didn't do. But it still hit him like a punch to the chest. "I paid for everything." She smirked. "Oh sure. That's what they all say." Kevin raised a hand. "Okay, let's all calm down. Sir, may I see your receipt?" Daniel handed it over. Kevin scanned it. Then scanned the bags. Everything matched. Except, there was one item not in a bag. Not on the receipt. A small red toy truck, tucked in the corner of Daniel's cart, partially under a pack of paper towels. Victoria screamed like she had discovered a body. "Aha! Stolen item. I told you." The entire store erupted into whispers. Daniel stared at the truck, baffled. He hadn't seen it. He hadn't touched it. His kids had toys like that, but he never put one in the cart. And yet, there it was. The manager sighed heavily. "But Victoria?" She was triumphant. "Arrest him. Now." 2 officers entered from outside, hands resting near their holsters. One of them approached Daniel, expression hardening. "Officer, sir, we need you to step aside while we investigate." Daniel raised both hands slowly. "I didn't take anything." Victoria laughed under her breath. "Of course you didn't. They never do." The officer looked inside the cart. He saw the toy truck. He saw the receipt. He saw Daniel's shaking hands. And he saw something else. Something Daniel didn't notice. The officer's expression changed. His brows furrowed. His hand dropped from his holster. He leaned in closer. Then he glanced at the manager. "Officer, quietly, where did this toy come from?" The manager paled. Kevin from Asset Protection swallowed hard. And Victoria stepped forward. "Victoria, it came from him. I saw him hide it." But the officer didn't look convinced. He wasn't looking at Daniel anymore. He was looking at the toy. And the small barcode sticker on the bottom. A barcode that didn't match anything sold in that store. A barcode that wasn't supposed to be there. A barcode with a Walmart return tag, from a different state. The officer tapped the toy slowly with his glove. "Officer, where exactly were you standing when you saw him steal this?" Victoria hesitated. The crowd leaned in. Daniel held his breath. The officer lifted the toy truck again. And his eyes widened. At that exact moment, another officer walked in, holding a printout from the back office. He whispered something into the first officer's ear. The first officer turned toward Victoria. His face went cold. Dead cold. He took a step toward her. Then another. "Officer, we need to ask you a few questions." Victoria blinked, confused. "Me? Why?" He held up the toy truck. "Officer, because according to Walmart surveillance, this toy didn't come from his cart." The crowd gasped. Daniel felt his knees weaken. The officer stepped forward again. "Officer, it came from yours." Victoria froze. Daniel's world began spinning. And the officer, narrowing his eyes, said the words that dropped the entire store into silence. "You're under investigation for filing a false report and planting evidence." The crowd erupted. Victoria's sunglasses slid down her nose. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. And then, Kevin from Asset Protection sprinted back from the office, breathless. "Kevin, officer, you need to see the rest of the footage. It's worse than we thought." The officer turned to him. "How much worse?" Kevin whispered. The officer's face drained of color. He looked back at Daniel, slowly. Then at Victoria, who was now trembling. Then at the crowd, waiting, breathless, hungry for answers. The officer lifted his radio. "Dispatch, we're going to need backup." The entire Walmart fell dead silent. Daniel exhaled shakily. "Why?" he whispered. What did she do?" The officer stared at him with an expression Daniel would never forget. "Sir, this goes way beyond a toy truck." The Walmart back office was colder than the sales floor. Not temperature-wise, no. It was the atmosphere. The kind of cold that sinks into bones before anyone even speaks. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead as Daniel stood in the hallway, hands shaking, his heart pounding like it wanted to break free from his chest. 2 officers guarded the door. Shoppers whispered from behind yellow caution ropes. Victoria, the self-appointed whistleblower, now looked less like a hero and more like someone whose world was closing in fast. But the real tension? It came from the 2 officers reviewing the footage in the surveillance room. And the way their voices dropped lower. Slower. Heavier. Officer Ramirez stepped out first, running a hand down his face like he'd aged 10 years in 5 minutes. "Sir," he said to Daniel, "could you come inside for a moment?" Daniel swallowed hard. His throat felt tight, almost closed. He nodded. Inside, 3 people stared at a large screen paused on a single frame. Victoria, holding the toy truck, hidden behind a display rack. But that wasn't the part that hit hardest. The pause button was frozen on another figure standing beside her. A Walmart supervisor. Vest. Badge. Name tag. Clipboard. His name? Dale Henderson, assistant manager. The moment Daniel recognized him, his stomach dropped. He'd seen the man earlier grabbing carts. Talking loudly into a walkie. Acting like he owned the store. Now he stood on screen, leaning close to Victoria as she whispered something. He nodded. Then handed her something. A rolled-up barcode sticker. Ramirez unpaused the footage. The room fell silent as the truth played out in real time. On screen, Victoria took the barcode. Dale pointed toward the clearance rack Daniel was standing near. Victoria smirked. Then she palmed the toy truck from her own cart, slapped the out-of-state return barcode on the bottom, and, using the aisle corner as cover, walked directly to Daniel's unattended cart while he reached for a box of cereal. She placed the toy under the paper towels. Softly. Delicately. Like she'd done it before. Daniel felt his knees wobble. He gripped the table for balance. The footage continued. Victoria didn't walk away immediately. She stood beside the clearance bin pretending to browse, all the while keeping her phone up, recording only the moment she wanted. Not the setup. Just the evidence. But then the video took a darker turn. The next angle came from a camera near the back receiving area. Dale, the assistant manager, was talking to 2 other employees. Whispering. Pointing at customers. Not specific customers. Categories of customers. The audio wasn't clear, but the captions picked up fragments. Corporate wants shrink down. We need numbers. Report loss prevention activity. Pick someone who looks suspicious, you know. Daniel's entire body tightened. Officer Ramirez's jaw clenched. Then the footage cut to an even more disturbing moment. Dale handing a list to a security officer. On the list were written phrases, not names. Young black male in hoodie, single dad with kids, working class type, people who won't fight back. Officer Ramirez cursed under his breath. And then came the worst part. A clip of Dale and Victoria meeting outside the store 2 weeks prior. Trading envelopes. Smiling like partners in a private hustle. The officer paused here. "Sir," Ramirez said slowly, turning to Daniel, "I need you to hear me clearly, this wasn't about you at all." Daniel didn't blink. Didn't breathe. Didn't trust himself to speak. "This assistant manager," Ramirez continued, pointing at the paused screen, "has been cooperating with outside people, like her, to stage theft incidents. They artificially inflate shrinkage reports so the store qualifies for budget increases and overtime hours." Another officer chimed in. "And in some cases, they used innocent customers to make it look like the store was cracking down on shoplifting. Even when the shoplifters were never real." Daniel closed his eyes. The room spun. He wasn't the villain. He wasn't crazy. He wasn't imagining anything. He was the target. A pawn in a rigged game. Victim number? Who knows? Outside the office, People had gathered like a crowd waiting for a verdict. Victoria stood near the shopping carts, shaking, hair falling from her bun, sunglasses gone. Her friend had abandoned her the moment the officers stepped in. When Ramirez approached her with handcuffs, she stepped back. "Wait. Officer, let's talk. This is a misunderstanding. Ramirez's voice went flat. You knowingly planted merchandise, filed a false police report, incited a confrontation, tampered with store property, and participated in a fraudulent operation to manipulate shrinkage statistics." Victoria's mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. I didn't. He told me it was supposed to be. "You're done," Ramirez said. The click of the cuffs echoed across the entrance like a gunshot. The crowd murmured. Phones lifted. Recording. Judgment falling like rain. For the first time since the chaos began. Daniel took a full breath. But justice wasn't finished yet. Not even close. Because when they brought Dale out in cuffs, the entire store exploded. Customers gasped. Employees yelled things like, "I knew he was crooked. He set people up before. That's why folks kept getting stopped." 2 employees, both black, burst into tears. One said, "He got my cousin banned from the store last year. Said she was stealing detergent. I knew she wasn't. She had receipts." The officers exchanged grim looks. This wasn't just one incident. This was a pattern. A system. A machine built to target the vulnerable. And it had finally been exposed. The Walmart store manager, Mr. Trent, stepped outside his office, sweating like he'd run a marathon. He approached Daniel cautiously, hands trembling. "Sir, I'm deeply sorry for what happened today." Daniel stared at him, silent. The manager cleared his throat again. "Walmart takes these matters very seriously." "Do you?" Daniel said softly. The words weren't angry. They were disappointed. Exhausted. Broken. Manager Trent swallowed hard. "We will be launching a full internal investigation. Dale, Mr. Henderson, acted completely outside of protocol." Daniel's eyes narrowed. "Who hired him?" The manager hesitated. "And how long?" Daniel pressed, voice rising. "Has he been reporting fake thefts?" No answer. "Exactly," Daniel said, shaking his head. "You didn't care until you got caught." Ramirez stepped in gently. "Sir, you don't have to talk to them right now. Let's get you seated." But Daniel wasn't done. Not yet. He turned back to Trent. "It's always us," he said quietly. "People who look like me. People who shop quietly. People who mind their business. We're always the ones you watch. Always the ones you assume are here for the wrong reasons." His voice cracked. "I can barely afford groceries. You think I'm stealing a $5 toy truck?" Trent lowered his head. The crowd was silent. Some nodded. Some wiped tears. Everyone felt the weight of the truth. As officers collected statements, the woman who had been with Victoria earlier, her friend, walked forward cautiously. I need to tell you something." The officers turned. She wrung her hands, voice trembling. "I didn't know she was working with him," she said, nodding toward Dale. "But I knew she was doing shady things. Filming people. Following them. She even said once, 'If they don't catch a thief, I'll give them one.'" Daniel stared at her, eyes wide. The friend continued. "I'm sorry. I didn't stop her. I was scared of her. She ruins people's lives for fun." Ramirez nodded slowly. "Thank you. Your statement helps." But there was more. She reached into her purse and handed Ramirez a second phone. "Her backup phone," she whispered. "She uses it so her husband doesn't see what she's doing." Ramirez unlocked it. Dozens of videos. Dozens of false shoplifting incidents. Dozens of innocent shoppers humiliated, confronted, banned, all staged. Some children. Some elderly. Many black. Many low-income. The officer swore under his breath. "We need a full task force for this," he muttered. And Daniel felt something shift inside him. It wasn't anger. It wasn't sadness. It was something stronger. Vindication. He mattered. His innocence mattered. His dignity mattered. And the truth had finally risen. Within 24 hours, the story hit local news. Within 72 hours, it was national. Walmart employee and local woman arrested in scheme targeting innocent shoppers. Single father falsely accused, video proves setup. Investigation opened into corporate shrinkage policies. People protested outside the store. Not violently, but firmly. Conflict with purpose. Daniel received messages from strangers offering support. A local pastor delivered groceries to his home. A lawyer offered representation, free of charge. Community leaders asked him to speak at town forums about retail discrimination. But what changed Daniel the most was his kids. His daughter, Alina, hugged him after school and said, "Daddy, I saw you on TV. They said you didn't do anything wrong. I knew it." And for the first time in months, Daniel cried. Not because of pain, but because someone finally believed him. 2 weeks later, Daniel was invited to a meeting with Walmart regional leadership. He didn't go alone. Officer Ramirez accompanied him. So did the lawyer who volunteered to support him. Corporate executives looked nervous. They knew this wasn't a meeting. It was damage control. The lead executive cleared his throat. "Mr. Joseph, we want to express our deepest apologies. What happened to you was unacceptable." Daniel raised a hand. "I'm not here for apologies." The room shifted. "I want accountability," he said calmly. "Not just for me. For everyone your employee targeted." The executives exchanged glances. Daniel leaned forward. "I want public transparency. I want acknowledgement. I want policy change. And I want training so no other father has to stand in a Walmart surrounded by strangers, accused of something he didn't do." The room went silent. Then the executive spoke again. "We can do that." Daniel nodded. "And one more thing," he added. They braced themselves. "Hire more people who look like me," he said softly. "We shop here. We live here. We deserve to feel safe here." Ramirez nodded in agreement. The executives wrote it down. Not because they cared, but because they had to now. The truth had cornered them. The world was watching. 3 months later, she stood before a judge, ironically, the same courthouse where she'd once served on local committees. She expected a warning. She got 18 months probation, 200 hours community service, a $5,000 restitution fine, a stay-away order from Walmart locations in the state, mandatory therapy for compulsive lying and harassment behavior. Her face as the verdict was read? Stone. Shocked. Humiliated. Dale, the assistant manager, faced harsher charges. Fraud, evidence tampering, falsifying reports, and corporate misconduct. He took a plea deal. He'd never manage anything again. The system he used to weaponize turned on him. As it should. Daniel didn't want fame. He didn't want attention. He didn't want to be the guy from the Walmart scandal. He wanted peace. And he got it, one quiet morning, months after everything had blown over. He walked into a different Walmart. Not to confront anyone. Not to make a point. Just to buy milk. This time, no one followed him. No one whispered. No one looked at him with suspicion. A young cashier smiled and said, "You're Daniel, right? The dad from the news? Just wanted to say, you handled that with dignity most people couldn't manage." Daniel smiled. A small, grateful smile. "Thank you," he said. He walked out of the store with his milk. In peace. Something he hadn't felt in a long time. They say a lie can travel halfway across the world before the truth wakes up. But when the truth finally opens its eyes, it doesn't walk. It runs. And it catches every lie in its path. Daniel didn't just clear his name. He exposed a system. He forced accountability. He proved, once again, that dignity can survive even the darkest attempts to destroy it. And that justice? Real justice? Always finds the people who try to hide from it. If you want more powerful, real feeling, emotional justice stories just like this one. Stories where the unheard finally get heard. Where truth beats corruption. And where every twist hits harder than the last. Subscribe to my channel, Untold Realities Fire. Because out here, we don't just tell stories. We expose them.